our top story this hour. The US is considering providing $500 million to the controversial Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Sources say the move would deepen American involvement in aid efforts facing violence and chaos. The foundation has been criticized for lack of neutrality, with crowds overwhelming distribution hubs and senior staff resigning. Over 80 Palestinians have been reported shot near sites since June the 1st. Meanwhile, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency urges Israel to provide evidence to support allegations made against it. The UNRWA says it has repeatedly requested cooperation for 20 months without response and denies any wrongdoing. The UNRWA has also raised alarm over severe hygiene shortages for women in Gaza due to the ongoing siege. Many women and girls lack access to clean water and sanitary supplies, forcing them to reuse torn fabrics, impacting their dignity and mental health. Gaza's health ministry warns that hospitals could shut down within days as Israeli forces block fuel access. Generators powering critical care units may fail, threatening thousands of patients. Now in northern Gaza, an Israeli attack west of Jabalia camp has killed 3 Palestinians, according to Al-Ally hospital sources. This comes amid rising tensions and ongoing violence in the region. The United Nations calls for aid delivery to follow strict humanitarian principles to protect civilian lives. This comes as Palestinians gathered to mark Eid al-Adha amid the rubble of a destroyed mosque in Khan Yunis. Despite ongoing airstrikes and displacement, worshippers came together to pray, vowing to honour their faith and the holiday even in the midst of devastation and loss. We're now joined by Raymond Vickery, who's a former US Assistant Secretary of Commerce, and he's located in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Raymond, for joining us on the program. Raymond, I want to start with the US-backed the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and the news that the US is contemplating a significant $500 million contribution to the aid group. Can I get your thoughts on the visuals that we've had of the organisation so far, how this aid distribution has transpired, and the news that now the US is looking to a $500 million investment in the company?
Well, thanks very much for having me. You're quite right to zero in on this story about aid. You know, great democracies like the US and India and Europe, Japan need to work together to try to build peace and prosperity in the Middle East and throughout the world. Unfortunately, what's going on here is an attempt by the Trump administration to weaken, if not destroy, international organizations like the United Nations. They previously have weakened NATO. They've attacked G20. And it comes from a mindset and really an ideology that somehow a nation's greatness can be measured by its ability to act without restraint and to do as it pleases in the world. This latest attempt is a part of that plan. It is working on a really unilateral basis with Israel in order to try to ameliorate what is obviously a very dire situation in regard to famine in Gaza. And it tries to score political points by saying, yes, we are doing something about the famine, while at the same time trying to move forward with a view of might makes right in regard to retaliation for the horrendous attacks on Israel back in 2023. It is absolutely outside the pale. It will not work, and it should not work, because what's being done is to try to militarize the provision of food aid to desperately starving people in Gaza. It's not a question of Israel being able to defend itself. It's a question of the means and whether they actually promote peace, prosperity, and human rights. And this approach does exactly the opposite.
Yes, and Raymond, how do you assess the implications of the US potentially becoming the largest donor to an aid foundation that's being criticized for its lack in neutrality?
Well, it's a ridiculous approach. What is happening is trying to square the circle, if you will, for political and public relations in the United States, so that when people see these horrendous images on their televisions or through the computer feeds, that the Trump administration is able to say, well, we're doing something about this. We're trying to get aid to these desperate people. But what's really going on is an attempt to destroy UNRWA, to act outside the United Nations, and only do what it is that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his cohort in Israel want to do, which is basically to accomplish an ethnic cleansing by trading food for compliance to go into camps to be able to control the populace. The United States should not have any part of this approach, and they should, the United States, in my view, should work cooperatively, not only with United Nations, but with Arab countries and Israel, to bring about something which truly promotes peace and prosperity in the region, rather than makes it worse.
Raymond, we've seen Elon Musk during the span of Trump's second tenure as president cut US aid in a huge way. However, there's an investment in this, a possible investment. How might this affect the US's reputation and effectiveness in global humanitarian efforts?
Well, I think it has a very harmful effect. Obviously, Elon Musk and the whole DOGE effort operated outside the law in the United States. We're supposed to preserve, protect, and defend. That's the oath that the president takes. And in regard to USAID, a congressionally chartered and established organization, just went in and unilaterally destroyed the organization. And of course, this has effects across the board to the United States soft power, as Professor Nye used to say. This is not going to help in terms of putting $500 million into the Israeli-sponsored militarization of aid. And it just adds to the isolation of the United States. Unfortunately, that's okay with President Trump. What he wants to do is to recreate a sort of late 19th century Fortress America, in which he gets to control Greenland, Canada, and other places over here, and leaves it to other powers to control their neighborhood. This is contrary to what the United States has stood for since World War II. We helped establish the United Nations, helped to establish the international aid programs, and now he's walking away from it. But it's a part of the ideological set of the MAGA supporters of President Trump.
Raymond Vickery, thank you very much. You are staying with us. We now move on, staying in the